All right, listen to this. If you are stressed about the election, it's election day next week, look, you're not alone. 69% of adults said the presidential election was a significant source of anxiety. And as you see on your screen, this data, according to the American Psychological Association's Stress in America poll, by the way, these numbers are up 1% from 2020 and 17% from 2016. But don't worry, Dr. Sue Varma is here. She talks about how to overcome these feelings of stress in her book, Practical Optimism, the Art, Science, and Practice of Exceptional Well-Being. And I am so glad that she's joining us in studio today to talk about this, because the top question you'll hear from people is how can they deal with the stats that we've just shown, this pervasive sense of anxiety about the election?
Yes, great question. And I think that we have to first recognize what is the source of the anxiety. Yeah. Is it the election and the outcome itself, or all of the issues that are going to affect us, from climate change and how that's going to be dealt with, to inflation, to jobs, to healthcare, to really figure out how does this pertain to you, right? So there's global issues, but on a day-to-day basis, what does this mean and how can you prepare? And that's a big part of when we're dealing with anxiety. Breaking it down into productive anxiety, which is all the things that you can do and need to line up concretely in the real world around you. And then unproductive anxiety is all the rumination, the negative thoughts that are keeping you up at night, and being aware of what's the difference? What am I able to be an agent of change in my life for? And what do I have to accept and start preparing for?
I really appreciate that you make that distinction, because it's something I often find sharing with friends and family about stress, about the world and how it is. What can you control today in your own bubble? For people who might be watching this program and they want to read newspapers and they're always, looking at information through their feeds, what is the balance between a healthy consumption of global events, which can be dire sometimes, and limiting that for your own health?
Yes, and I always say, ask yourself one key question when you're feeling really stressed out. Is this a problem to be solved or a truth to be accepted? And that will help guide you into, what am I doing? What am I chasing? Am I a passive consumer of this information? Or am I searching for something that's going to materially and concretely change the outcome of what's going on? And what is it that I can do? And I think that a lot of us are doom scrolling, and what we're doing is what's called engaging in confirmation bias. We already believe in something, and we're looking for something that's going to confirm the beliefs that we already have. And so the algorithm continues to push that. And then we end up going down these rabbit holes of a lot of hateful exchanges with strangers, right? Like,
why do we do that? Because I have to convince my mother to stop arguing with people on Facebook. She's like,
people.
but I need to tell them. I'm like, why? Why do people continue to engage with stuff that infuriates them?
It's because we feel so helpless, right? And it's this feeling of, I want to make a change, and sometimes that's just changing your mind. And I think that what I'm seeing is that it's really affecting our relationships to the point that we're avoiding people. And we really need to keep in mind that we're also going through a loneliness crisis, right? So we can't cut people off. Like, we may have distanced ourselves off from people and engaged in a lot. Like, there's a lot of group chats that are getting fired up. And I say, really limit that and say, hey, let's regroup after the election. Let's limit the conversations that we're having about these really heated topics that we're never going to see eye to eye with. And be very intentional. What is the point of my conversation? Am I trying to change their mind? Am I capable of changing their mind? How does that affect the outcome? And what do I want? Do I want to preserve a relationship with this person? And if that's the case, how do I back off?
And just to also provide our viewers with some news they can use, what is the difference? How do we identify in ourselves the difference between doom scrolling and maybe engaging in things that aren't healthy and an actual anxiety or depression disorder? When do we know it's serious?
So in order for someone to qualify for having a disorder, it has to cause impairment in their life or real struggle where, like, because of the doom scrolling, because of what's happening in the fear, they're not able to keep up with day-to-day obligations, right? Are they late to work because of it? Are they doom scrolling during the day? Are they, like, firing up the chats with angry comments and people? Is this affecting their sleep? A lot of times people will say, I don't have any anxiety. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, well, how do you sleep? They're like, oh, not so good. And I'm like, sleep is a window into your mental health. It tells me so much. Are you having trouble falling asleep? Are you waking up in the middle of the night, checking your phone? Not to do that. And really create safe spaces and oasis moments in your day where you shut off maybe an hour before bedtime and you're like, absolutely not. I am not checking my phone. And maybe 20, 30 minutes in the morning if you have that luxury, or wake up earlier than when you actually need to be awake so you can have 5 minutes of meditation, quiet time, enjoy a cup of coffee, get back in nature, exercise, distraction, fun, play, music, dancing.
I implore all of I do all those things.
I love that.
So this is Practical Advice. Practical Optimism is the book. In a couple words, what do you do to relax, to chill?
Meditate and music.
There you go. Dr. Varma, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.